Welcome to an HL7 how-to video on e-voting. Today, I'm going to cover what is e-voting, types of e-votes, creating and conducting an e-vote, and documenting the results of an e-vote. E-voting is a simple way your group can review and comment on items and make decisions outside of regularly scheduled meetings, which frees up time in your meetings and on calls. The group I use e-votes with most often is the Technical Steering Committee, or TSC. The TSC uses weekly e-votes without motions for routine business items to save time. Routine business for your group could include reviewing project proposals, voting on project scope statements, gathering input on document drafts, approving publication requests, or other activities as determined appropriate by group leadership. There are also e-votes with motions. An e-vote with a motion is required for formal business items, such as ballot reconciliation. These votes tend to be a little more time-consuming, so most groups choose to simply handle formal business on calls and at the working group meetings. However, if you choose to do this type of e-vote, a template is available for you to use. E-votes are created and published in Confluence in your group space using a template. After the vote is created, it must be announced to your group using a message sent to the group's listserv. The message contains the link to the vote and how long the vote is open. Voters simply navigate to the page, record their votes, and any comments. Now I'm going to demonstrate creating an e-vote using the template from my personal space. When you do this, start from your group space. I'm gonna flip over to sharing my other screen. Okay, so now I'm in my space, and what you'll do is you'll click on the three dots next to the Create button, and you'll scroll down and select e-vote and decision template and click Create. Here we are. And so the first thing you'll notice is that a list of instructions are included. So don't worry if you have trouble following along with each step on this video. It's all there in the template. The name of your e-vote can be anything you choose, but it's good to include a date and the name of the group that is voting. So let's call this one 2023-08-15 work. If you have just one item, this one row is sufficient. If you have more than one item, copy and paste the row before you start entering information into the fields. So let's pretend that we have two items here for this e-vote. I'm going to select all of that and copy it. Then I'm going to use this button to insert a row below. And then I'm going to paste. Now we have space for two e-votes. In the left section, you'll add a link and a title of the item you're going to vote on. I'm going to grab a link from a previous e-vote just to use as an example. So here you would add the type of request, a link to the request, and who's requesting it. In the next section, the vote section, hit edit. Well, sorry, I should make it clear. So you're going to hover over the top of this little box and then select edit. The ballot title here has to be updated with a unique identifier, such as an acronym for the item. The identifier doesn't really matter as long as it's unique. If you have several items, they each need to be identified differently, or you'll get an error when you publish the vote. So since this item is the reaffirmation of Jello, I'm just going to call this Jello. And I'm going to hit save. Then I'm going to add the date that the voting opened. And here you can add the name of the work group, which is CDS, if your item has an owning work group. And here, if the item has a project insight ID, you can add it there. If it doesn't, you can just put not applicable. If we had a second item, we would add it here. And again, we would hover over this vote and click on it and edit. And we would put a unique ballot title and hit save and add the date that it opened and any other information that is appropriate here, and then publish. So next you would copy and paste the item into an email and send out to your group's listserv to begin the voting process. Go back to our slides. Sometimes you'll send out an e-vote and it doesn't reach quorum by the time you've reached the date that you ended your e-vote. If it doesn't reach quorum, if there's still time before your next scheduled meeting, you can extend the deadline of the vote and send out a reminder to vote to the listserv. If you still don't achieve quorum, add the items to the agenda of your next conference call and vote by voice. Add the results to the decision section of the e-vote or to your decision log. When the vote ends, add an item to your next meeting agenda to review the results of the e-vote. On the agenda, list any items that received approval and list any items that were referred to discussion or perhaps passed by the numbers but received at least one negative vote. Anything like that will need to be discussed on the call and voted on the call. For items that were referred to discussion or received a negative vote, as mentioned, you'll need to discuss them at the next meeting, and you'll take a vote by voice. You'll record the vote in the decision section of the e-vote page and add a link to the minutes. You may also decide to keep a separate decision log in your space. And I'll show you the TSC decision log and also the CDA management group approval log page as an example in just a minute. First, I'm going to show you how I document the e-vote results on the technical steering committee agenda. So here's, this isn't actually a agenda from last year, but it was a nice clean example of this. After the housekeeping section, I have an approval items from the previous week's e-vote that were referred for discussion. And as you can see, we had 3 items here that were referred. And then I list in the next section the items that were simply approved. And if they're simply approved, I just add them to our decision log and move on. The items that were referred for discussion are documented here in the minutes. So here in 2A is the first item that was referred to discussion. We discussed it and we took a motion and voted on it. And that's what you'll do for each item that is in that situation. I have a TSC decision log here that is a historical documentation of everything that the TSC has voted on and decided on. I kind of nest these in each meeting agenda. As you can see, I add the decision to each agenda and then it shows up on that decisions page. If you're interested in doing that for your group, I can help you do that. And a slightly easier way is the way the CDA management group does it, which is they have, for each year, they create a table and they include the name and the date it was approved and the vote. This is an easier way to have a searchable documentation of what was decided upon by your group. And if you have any question, again, just let me know. Let's go back to our presentation. So if you need help getting started with e-voting, please email me at tscpm@hl7.org. I'm happy to help with getting you started with setting up your e-votes, how to document the e-vote results, or how to use decision logs. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.